And we are live. Feels weird. Well, we've already got a number of people in here. I can just working. So, hello everybody. Yes, we are, and we are in the barn today. Hello, Dan. So we are getting ready to. Hey there, Steve. So we are getting ready. We're getting ready to cook some ribs today. Hopefully, have loads of you joining in. Hey there, Klaus. We've got a couple of different cookers we're using. Obviously, we've got the Gateway drum, one of my favourites. We've then also got the trusty Weber WSM, the old bullet smoker. Cooking, I know a load of you are going to be cooking lots of different things as well. So we're going to keep it, hopefully quite relaxed and hopefully have some fun and laughs. As we're going through this second lockdown, which is boring as anything, I figured it would be a good idea to, we can cook some ribs. Hopefully everyone in your family is going to. In your household is going to get a chance to eat something a bit different, something that they're really going to enjoy. Hey there, Randall. Hey there, James. We're kind of all good. So we're just kind of going to wait until 11 o'clock is when we're going to start. So I'm just kind of giving people a chance to sort of join. Say hello. Obviously, yes, I have already opened my first beer because I already have my charcoal lit. So the rule is if you've got fires lit, you're allowed a beer. Or that's how I go with it. It's on that note, if you haven't already got your charcoal lit or your cookers up, definitely. Probably a good idea to start them now because you're going to want these up to temperature, at the set temperature by 12 o'clock. That's when we're going to be putting the ribs on. So want to have your cookers hot, ready to go. So so there's you're not going to be delayed, and basically you'll be able to stay on the same timeline as us. Mitch, are you supposed to be drinking already? Well. That's up to you. Luckily, where we are at the barn, there's kind of like barn rules are very different to home rules. So I get away with a lot more up here than I would at home. But why not? Oh.
Barbecue Highlander.
Guys, we've got people from Germany. Tom de Jager, I don't know what that name's from. I'm guessing maybe Dutch. Well, Sutton's here, Wayne's here, although he is out with the dogs.
Yeah, appreciate it, Wayne.
So I don't know if people are going to be doing this in your 5Q. Hey there, Tom. So I'm not sure if you guys have all got lovely barbecue shacks that you cook in, or if it's going to be a mix of in the kitchen and running out to the garden every little while. But no, I mean, luckily in the UK at least, or where we are in the UK, the weather is for this time of year. So it's not too cold. There's not much wind at the moment, and for once, it's not raining. Yes, I've only just started here. It's took me a little while to man up to it, but thought, hey, might as well get on with it. Another thing to do whilst we're waiting, just make sure you've got your knife sharp. So Matteo, so cooking low and slow. I've got my Weber Smoky Mountains set for a target temperature of 250 Fahrenheit. And then on the Gateway drum smoker, we're going to be cooking at 300 degrees Fahrenheit. So, if you're wanting to cook hot and fast, we're going to cook on the Gateway drum. That will be at 300 degrees. If you're cooking low and slow, that's what we are going to be cooking on the Weber.
And if you're cooking in the oven?
And if you are cooking in the oven, because I did say, you know, we're not discriminating. So if there is anybody that wants to cook ribs in the oven, you don't need to start that yet. That only takes like 15 minutes to warm up. But you would set your oven to a fan-assisted oven to a temperature of 160 degrees Celsius. I have no idea what gas mark that is about non-fan ovens because I don't have one. So up on it. So, no, I mean, it's not too early to have your barbecue up to temperature. I'd rather have it up to temperature early, and then it can just settle in and, you know, just kind of stay there. It'll be a lot more steady throughout that. So, Alex has got a bit of a long question. So, 2 racks on WSM, there's a bit of a squeeze on one shelf for these beasts. So no, I would actually cut. So we are going to trim them down slightly, and they will both fit on a 47. No problem. I used to fit 3 racks on a 47. So yeah, I would. And also, don't use a rib rack. Rib racks are garbage. They never sort of. The ribs sit too close, so when they sweat, they just form. They don't form a bark nicely and evenly. I really don't like them. I would much rather hang them. And a little tip: the rib hanger that you get for the 30-gallon Gateway, so the smaller one, actually fits into a WSM, into the medium. Well, I call it the small one because I'm old. The 37 didn't exist, but yeah. No, I don't run any water in the water pan. I'm not even running sand or a clay saucer or anything. I just, I put a bit of foil in the bottom of it so you can, so it's just easier to clean afterwards. That's it. Hey there, Will. I think that's sharpened enough.
You could lose a finger.
Ooh. So, like I said, I'm just making sure I've got my knives nice and sharp, so they will be ready to go. That's my favourite. So, as we are cooking up at the barn today, this is actually a working farm where this barn is. So sometimes we do get little visitors come through, as in the dogs. So, there may be what we call barn friend, which is a beautiful Rottweiler who, she loves to come in and kind of sniff what we're doing on the barbecues, and also just wants attention. So. Oh, I'm going to take this off. Feels weird. I don't know why I thought put an apron on. I would if I could undo it. There we go. When things seem like a good idea, but actually, no. I always cook in a hoodie anyway, so it's... why change anything? So we are getting close to time.
1 minute to go.
1 minute to go. Yeah, I mean, if your temperature is only sitting at 49 at the moment, I'm guessing you're talking Celsius, or even Fahrenheit. I mean, just leave it alone. I mean, we've got an hour before you need to get it up to temperature. So, my Weber Smoky Mountain is only running at 200 at the moment. To be fair, my Gateway, funny enough, is bang on. So I'll just close that down. I don't get bought any aprons for Christmas or my birthdays. It's Emma tends to get them, and so the only aprons we actually get are basically ones that we get given for different events or that we win. That one that I was just wearing, we got given from the King of the Smoker contest that we did over in Palm Springs in California, which was beautiful. Really treated like royalty, and sort of one of those contests that you definitely want to go to. So
Right, 11:01.
we are at 11 o'clock, so it is time. So I'm just going to get my ribs out. I've still got them all in the packaging right now. Won't take me too long. So, you can see here, I'm actually cooking 4 racks because we're doing the low and slow and the hot and fast. So I will use one to talk you through as, to start off with. And then, I'll just keep cracking on with the others. I don't think this is going to take a lot of time. So, I just snip them off at the end. And then it's generally good with these Swift Premium ribs if you kind of just hold them in the bag, because obviously you keep all the blood and mess in there. So, wow, that is a really lovely marbled rack that we have got here. So, you can sort of see there, what we're dealing with. So these racks are nice. So the first thing I'm going to do on these racks is you can see on the end, you've got this extra fatty bit. And basically there isn't really any meat there. So what I'm going to do, just to speed up the trimming process, I'm just going to cut that bone straight off of the end. And then I'm only left with that little bit on the end, which I can then just get my knife, and I just, use the tip of the knife to get underneath the fat cap, and then just trim straight down, just like that. That is the good thing with these Swift Premium ribs, is that you don't have to do any other trimming, or very little. So, I can sort of see here, that rack of ribs is ready to go. I'm not going to be doing any more St. Louising of the ribs today, because we are cooking more like a backyard style, but kind of the basics of what we're going to do on these ribs. So, I don't know how many racks you've all got to trim, but that's the basics of it. So, because that's the thing. If we throw away, if we cut off too many bones, obviously that's ribs that you're not getting to eat. So this one's got quite a bit extra chunk on here, and it's got this extra flap of meat, but the texture of this meat and the marbling of this meat, it will just dry out. So I do need to remove it. So again, I'm just going to take that end bone off to begin with. Okay, and then I'm going to flip it back over. And then as I see, I've got this silver skin on the edge of it. So I'm just going to push my tip of the knife, just the tip, underneath the silver skin, and kind of start trimming that back. So, it really does help to have sharp knives when you're doing this. So, there we go. And then, I'll just get a bit more of this. So leave these large bits of fat on the edge, because if you cooking hot and fast, when I cook them hot and fast, I find that fat tends to burn a bit, gets a bit too hot. So I just want to take that down. A bit of my OCD from the contest says that I do need to at least have them looking level. You don't need to do that, but really that bit of meat's not that great to eat anyway. So I'm just going to trim that down. But there you go. That's a second rack done already. I'm just going to move on to the third one quickly. Go. So take off the end bone. Now, to be fair, this one's trimmed slightly different, so I'm just going to cut on that end bit, and then So there we go. Right, and then last one. So you can see here, the trimming is super easy. So add in there. So again, just take that end bone off.
Yeah, we're suffering a bit as well. You're moving too quickly.
So take the end bone off, and I just like them to look straight. It just looks nicer, that's all. But I'm not taking a huge amount off. You don't have to do this, but I do because it's just habit. There we go. Wow, this is a lovely marbled rack. So, I'm already looking at all of these racks of ribs, and I know we're going to have some juicy ribs coming out of this today. So,
yeah, you keep freezing.
Okay. So, just try and move a bit slower. So, like I said, get that silver skin, just point the tip of your knife underneath it, and just kind of fillet it off. So, there we go. Okay, so we'll give it a bit of time. Hopefully the audio will, the video will stop buffering and get back up. So.
I'm hearing every other word.
Okay.
There's
not much I can do about it.
Okay.
So. Okay. So just have a quick clean up. Okay. Warm my hand. Okay, so now that I've got the ribs trimmed up, hopefully, you guys have seen this and you're kind of there or not that far off. Maybe if we just give you another couple of minutes. So we'll give you till 10 past, hopefully, to have your ribs trimmed, and then we will look at getting the rub, the silver skin taken off the back. Okay, what we're going to do, we're going to restart the stream. I think that's what's going to be best. It seems like the audio is really struggling. So yeah, we're going to restart the stream and see if this sorted out. Getting people to stop fucking messaging me.
Do you want to do it off my phone?
Yeah, I've just got so many people messaging. Yeah. So we're just going to swap over the Wi-Fi. Hopefully we are connected on there. Sorry, your phone is connected now.
Yeah, but I use YouTube to see if I can hear what you're saying. That's how I knew that your sound was going.
Let's disconnect from that. So hopefully Okay, that seems to have sorted itself out now. The joys of technology and doing things in weird remote places. So yeah. So with the ribs, we were cutting the end bone off because basically that end bone is just full of fat and not really much meat. So, instead of trying to trim all that down, just sort of take it off. So you're left with, and then you can just clean up the fat and the silver skin off of that end bone. So it's nice and easy. What we're going to do now, with these Swift Premium ribs, there isn't really much else to trim on them. They do a really nice job of trimming them up for you. They've got loads of marbling in there, so that's going to be really good. I'm now going to hand over to Emma for a minute, and she is going to take off the backs, the silver skin. So, yeah, always great to have an Emma to do this type of job for you. But yeah, that will be fine.
Hiya guys, hope you can hear me. Let us know if you can't, that would be great. So, as you can see, these ribs, they've got this shiny surface on the end. This is the membrane, and this is what we're going to take off. Where Ed and yourself, that first rib, you'll see there's a little flappy bit right at the bottom there. All I'm going to do with a paper towel, I'm going to put pressure with one hand onto the rib. I'm going to pick up that little flap with the paper towel and my other glove, and it will just come off just like that. Sound like Tommy Cooper. And just like that. If you can't get it, you can always get a toothpick or a knife and just stick in between the two ribs there and pry it apart. Hold with your glove and your paper towel and rip it off. So once again, I've got this flappy bit on the corner here. Put pressure with one hand on the ribs just to stabilize it. With the other one, pick up the corner. And as you can see, here it is here. And literally just peel it off. Just like that. If you've only got one rack, it won't take too long. If you've got more than that, just give it a go. Just don't give up. And you can always tell the difference from when you've taken it off to when it's still on there. So for example, this rack looks nice and shiny on the bones there. This one, you can see there's more of a texture type. It looks like the tiger stripes. That's how you know that you've taken the membrane off. Hiya, Stuart. How's that gorgeous baby of yours and your wife? Sometimes you get these big clumps of fat on the side. Literally, you can just pick them off with your fingers. It's not too bad. And to the last one. If your paper towel gets too soggy, sometimes it doesn't like to pick it up. So it's always good to have a few extra on the side ready to go. To be honest, it's a lot easier to do this without gloves on, but at the moment, if you're serving them to people, you know the rules. If it's just at home, it doesn't matter, just wash your hands afterwards. There we go. So it's 4 racks all taken off. Ed, it's over to you.
Yep. So, I know Emma makes it look really, really easy. And to be fair, she's had a lot of pulling the backs off of the ribs. Well, yeah, I'm starting my second beer. There's always a good time to crack open the next one. So, the next thing we're going to do, now that we've got our ribs all laid out here, we have them with the back side up. So, where we've just taken the silver skin off. What I want to do now, we're going to take our rub. So today we are using the Big Poppa Smokers Money Rub. What we are going to do, so I'm not looking to put a lot of rub on the back because you're not really going to get much flavour from it. But the idea with this being that it looks weird if you don't do it. It looks really strange. So we're just going to put a really light coating on the back, just for some colour, basically. I'm not wanting to use too much rub on this bit anyway. Just very light coating, just so if you don't put the rub on the back, they just look bright white and anemic. It's really strange. So and that's it. Whilst we've got the a little bit of rub on the back of the ribs. I don't know if you want to bring the camera forward so you can just get a bit of a close up. So we're just going to move this a bit closer so you can, so you can see exactly how much we're actually using. So you can see not much on there at all. Okay, really light coat. Just pat that in. We're just going to pat that in quickly just so it sticks on. But not much rub at all. And then we're going to flip them over. So we've got the meat side up, and this is where we're going to put most of the rub. So we're going to use quite a lot on each rack, just to make sure we've got a nice even coating. I tend to lay them out so I've got a bit of gap between them. So, and now I'm going to take my rub and we're just going to go a lot heavier. Kind of want to get them covered, so in a sense you can't actually see the fat through the ribs. So we've got a nice coating there. I'm just going to, because I've only got the one shaker, I've got to make sure that I get all 4 racks done, but you can see I'm using quite a lot more rub than I did on the back. So to start off with, I'm just using, making sure I get all of them coated. One of these small shakers should be enough easily for 4 racks. So we just going like that. There we go. And then again, just go back over the racks that we did earlier, just to make sure you get a nice heavy coat. It is quite a heavy coating that we're putting on these, but it's all the flavour we're gonna get into them. So pretty much it. So you can see there, I've got my ribs. They've got a nice heavy coat of rub on that meat side. Looking at the shaker, so I now I've got about, I've used just over half of the shaker on those 4 racks of ribs. So they're looking really good. All we need to do now is just leave them. I haven't put any kind of peanut oil or mustard on the ribs. I don't need to. That's just going to make your ribs come out really black. We just put them on like this. The rub has got everything in there with the salts and the sugars and everything else to basically do the job for us. So we're going to leave these now. Do you want to push the camera up a bit? So we are going to leave these now for about, until we get to 12 o'clock. So we're at 11:21. They're going to have like 40 minutes for that to sit on. No binder. We don't need it. All the salts and the sugars are going to do that job for us. We don't need it. If we put a mustard onto the ribs as a binder, cooking on a WSM or cooking on a gateway drum or something like that, it's going to make the ribs come out really dark, really black. They won't be burnt, but they will just be darker than normal. So I don't need to put a binder on there. The only time I would consider using a binder is on some of the bigger meats, but that would only be if I was cooking on like a big green egg. For ribs, you don't need to. Jan, you're an hour ahead as well. How have you only just woken up at like what must be like 20 past 12? Surely your kids would have woke you up by now. So, do you mind sliding the camera back a bit? Just down a bit. Down a little bit more.
Chop your head off.
There we go. Well, Jan, still, that's not, exactly. Cyril, what have you missed? 2 beers in. But no, we've trimmed up our ribs already. We've taken the backs off. So, trimming the ribs, you basically cut the end bone off on the fatty side. Clean that up a little bit afterwards, and then that also exposes the silver skin and makes it more easy to grab and rip off that corner. To take that silver skin off the back. So, the ribs, we are just letting them sit here for about 40 minutes before we put them on the cookers. So, we'll make sure that our barbecues are up to temperature.
236.
Yeah, so still got time to get that WSM hot. The gateway is running a little bit hot at the moment. I'm fine with that. By the time I put the ribs on, obviously I'm going to be putting cold meat in. That's going to lower the temperature of the cooker anyway. So yeah, that's all fine. So how is everybody getting on? Are your barbecues up to temperature already? Have you got your ribs all trimmed up and rubbed down and ready to go? So, the minimum amount of time I would rub them before putting them on the smoker is, to be fair, I've done it like half an hour beforehand. When I've been catering, if I haven't had much time. And then I would just pat them down by hand. With these, because I've got time, I won't bother. What you're going to see with these ribs, just leaving that rub on them without patting them down, is you're going to see it all melt down into it, and you'll see puddles of water, of liquid, form on top of the ribs. But then the longer that they sit there, that water, that liquid is going to get sucked back into the ribs, and that really helps that rub bind on. Then maximum amount of time. Probably about like an hour and a half. I wouldn't want to push it that much further than that. I've never had the cured ribs situation because I've just always kind of stuck to that rule. So it's not something I wouldn't ever rub ribs like the night before. So I don't actually think that 225 is the optimal temp. It takes bloody ages for anything to cook at 225. So, when I'm cooking low and slow, I will be cooking at 250 is the temperature that I'm looking at. And that's what this, the timeline is going to be based on. There is no better benefit in cooking and the ribs, we're going to be the hot and fast ribs, we're going to be cooking at 300 degrees Fahrenheit. Mitch, struggling to get the membrane off. Emma makes it look really easy. She's very, very good at it. So Are you using foil between the ribs and the charcoal on the gateway? Nope. No, we're going to be doing these on a turn and burn. So basically, the gateway is set up with nothing in there. We just have the firebox and a cooking rack, and that's it. Oh, talking about being greedy, Will. And to be fair, you're not a typical barbecue-sized guy. Cooking a small brisket and a lamb shoulder on the drum already. Shocking. No, Steve, no drip pan in the drum. We're just cooking straight over the fire. Some stuff in Dutch.
I can't read that.
No.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, all that we're doing at the moment is just waiting for the. So is there any of you on here that are cooking on ceramic? So whether it be Big Green Egg, Kamado Joe, Monolith, Primo, or anything like that? Because if you do, I have a little tip for you.
Just a tip.
I'm full of tip. So, a little tip for people that are cooking on ceramic barbecue. So whether it be like I said, Big Green Egg, Kamado Joe, all that stuff. It's whatever it is. It's they're all the same. So what we are using here. So what we're going to do I'll come on to the oven in a minute. But for the guys that are using ceramic grills, one of the problems that you'll get with ceramic grill is it is very wet inside when you're cooking there. So what you want to do, you'll end up with lots of puddles, and by the time you need to, they won't actually be dry on top. You won't have a great bark doing it that way. So this is actually a tip from my friend Peter at White Squirrel. If you've ever met him, you'll know you have. But basically, take a long sheet of tinfoil, thick tinfoil, and then basically what we're going to do is just screw that up like that, and that forms a little bit of a lift. So then when you're going to put your ribs onto the barbecue, if you lay that on the grill first, and then you put your ribs, like the thick side up on top of that. So I'll demonstrate it. So if you take your ribs, and when I'm saying the thick side up, I'm talking about where you see all the bones on the edge where they've been St. Louis, and then what you want to do is actually cook them like that on the Monolith. Okay, so that probably want that to be a bit lower, to be honest. So I'll just switch that down a bit. So a bit like that. Just so there we go. So just like that. If you run your ribs cooking like that, you should turn that around so you can kind of see it. That's going to help all that excess moisture drip off of the ribs. It's going to run off, and then you're going to get a much more even bark on them. Cooking on a Weber bullet, I don't have to worry about it. Cooking on a Gateway drum, I really don't need to worry about it. But on a ceramic, that will be one of the key tips for it. So guys that are cooking in the oven, in a sense, you don't really need to, there's not a huge amount for you guys to do because, in a sense, the oven is going to do a lot of the work. So here, I'm not sure how well you can see that. So on the oven, again, you're going to want them in a roasting tray, and you're going to want you're going to want them in a roasting tray. You're going to want a rack on there as well, so it's not touching the bottom of the roasting tray. Also, a little tip is line the roasting tray with a bit of tin foil. Whoever is doing the washing up that night will thank you for it. And then all you're going to need to do is just put them on. So basically, you want your oven preheated to 160 degrees Celsius on a fan-assisted oven. And then, you're just going to stick them on at 12 o'clock, midday. And then, whilst we'll be doing different things with the hot and fast ribs on the barbecue, you're not going to have to worry about those. You're then just going to wrap your ribs, or we'll be online to talk about wrapping the ribs at 5 minutes past 1. So, that will give you, a bit of time. That'll help you get a bit of a bark set up. And we'll go from there. And somebody did ask about how often do I clean my drums? So I am not I'm not someone that cooks on clean drums every week. So I tend to clean my drums maybe twice, maybe 3 times a year. And to do that, I buy some really horribly toxic disinfectant spray from Booker, as in the cash and carry. I basically heat them up, spray it down, and it kind of loosens all of that grease off. And then I just get a pressure washer in it and just blast it off. Even if you don't get it back to bare metal, it still takes off. You'll see it when you jet wash it after you put that degree. All the tarry blackness just runs off it. It's not great. The main thing with a drum is actually keeping the bottom of the drum clean. So I will normally scrape that out after every cook or before I do every cook. That's where you get like the bitterness coming from it if you don't do it, because obviously the fat renders out of everything. And then it just sits, kind of, a bit of it will sit underneath the fire basket, and it will just be pretty nasty. So yeah, I just use a charcoal scraper and do that.
Can you give Lucy a shout out, my 9-year-old?
Hey there, Lucy. I'm very impressed. We have a 9-year-old cooking ribs. Oh,
the future of barbecue.
Future barbecue. It's that's what it's all about. Getting your family involved. You can't necessarily share it with more people, but you can still share it with everyone in your house, and and have some fun whilst we do it. And beers. I do like Mitch's comment. If you're cooking in the oven, you can't drink beer. Well, I would disappear. Well, good to see we got Rachel joining in as well with Simon. So I'm guessing, Simon, with your catering business, you probably gets involved quite a bit with some of this stuff as well, which is always great to see. Yeah, I'm always shocked when I see people on TV and so on that just don't know how to cook. It's or people I'd speak to at work that I work with, and it's just mind-boggling to me. It's I was always brought up as well, basically the kids cooked dinner. I mean, it was like, you're back from school earlier, you cook it. So you kind of learn how to do it. So it's great to see kids actually learning to cook now. Because when you watch some of these shows on TV, and it's just like, how are you still alive? Type thing. It's just a basic thing. It's what time are we at?
We are at 11:36.
11:36. So you can see, the rub is starting to melt in. I am stood in the barn at the moment, so it's a bit cold. So normally it's quite good to have it in a warmer environment, but so I am just going to pat the ribs down, just to kind of accelerate the bonding of the rub into the meat. So just going to pat that down. So I always remember we did the Jack Daniels contest in Nashville, Tennessee, or just outside Nashville. It's in a place called Lynchburg, Tennessee, at the Jack Daniels distillery. And when we did that contest back in 2013, we did it. And it basically got to like -7 overnight. And I was there trying to rub my ribs at like 6 o'clock in the morning to get them ready for the contest. And it was just so cold that the ribs didn't actually, the rub didn't melt into the ribs. So I ended up having to lift all of my ribs and put them in the back of the car and turn the heating on and running the engine just so I could actually get the rub to bind in. But, you can see here, I padded them down a bit. So, these will be ready. These will be looking really good in another 20 minutes. So that is a very good point, and I've not really talked about it much. So the wood that I'm using, I think it's hickory. I say that because I just buy boxes of it, and I normally get a box where it's like 1/2 is hickory, 1/2 is cherry. But either way, it doesn't matter that much. I will be using hickory wood. So for my Weber Smoky Mountain, I will be using a piece about that kind of size, quite, but I'll only be using a single chunk. I won't be using anything more than that. And then for the gateway, I've managed to find a couple of smaller pieces. So I will be using less wood in the drum than I will in the bullet smoker. That's because where we're going to be cooking straight over the charcoal with these ribs, a lot of that fat is going to drip into the charcoal. And that's going to create extra smoke as well. So I don't need as much wood smoke because I will also get flavour from the charcoal. But if you don't have hickory wood at home, anything is fine, with the exception of one wood, which is mesquite. Mesquite wood, if you have that, just throw it in the bin. It's for savages. It is.
You really don't like mesquite?
No, I really don't like mesquite. There are a few places that you can buy the Swift Premium ribs. Obviously, James Lowe from JL Butchers, he put together a bundle pack so people could buy like the rubs and the sauces and the ribs. So you can buy them from JL Butchers, but a lot of the barbecue, the guys that do barbecue, I say barbecue cuts, anyone that is buying like the imported stuff. So if they have like US beef, they will be able to get the Swift ribs. To be fair, James, yes, I do prefer using wood chips in a Kamado than I do chunks. I would still use chips if I was doing ribs. It's kind of like both will work. To be fair, in a rib, the smoke ring isn't such a big thing. Whereas like from an aesthetics point of view, if you're using if you're cooking a brisket and you're presenting it for a competition, you want to see that nice pink smoke ring in it. So that's why I would definitely say it for big meats. But just use what you got.
Would you use wood chips in the oven?
No, I wouldn't use wood chips in the oven. I would be too worried about setting fire to the oven or smoking out my entire house. And all of my clothes already smell of barbecue as it is, so I don't need any more of that in my life. There you go.
2:36.
Oh,
Little Miss Diva.
yeah, my big WSM is always a bit of a diva. Well, want to be even more of a diva now, but yeah, my big WSM, it always either wants to go too cold or too hot. It's okay, I have refills.
They just want to see you get drunk.
Well, there's it's not surprising that you smell of ginger biscuits. To be fair, I seem to remember at school we used to say something else about ginger stew, but you know. So, I mean, from a timeline point of view, we are going to be. So the oven cook starts at the same time as the hot and fast cook, and we're all starting at the same time. So, 12 o'clock we're going to be putting the ribs on. That's a standard, Stu. It's a standard. Have I ever used a Pro Q? So yes.
Our very first smoker.
Our very first smoker was a Pro Q XL20. So we bought that a long time ago now, and it was a good smoker. I mean, I know a lot of people had problems with Pro Qs back then. We may have just got lucky with it, but yes, I did. Yeah. So hey, I remember necking absinthe for toothache at Brew and Q. So yeah, we run. So we used to run Pro Q. Basically, we ended up getting this big WSM at Grillstock back in 2013 or 14. Weber were like offering silly deals to sell them. So to sell like ex-show models. So I think we paid like £150 for it. So we had that. We've got a small WSM as well. As our collection of barbecues has grown, we just never used the Pro Q. So we just moved, we just sold that on to a friend to help them get started. Don't even know what car that is in the background.
VW.
Yeah, it's a VW broken thing. I'm going to leave Emma in front of the camera to answer questions whilst I go and top up my beer. Dan, so hope you're doing well, or as well as possible. I know you're obviously a chef in the restaurant trade, so hope things are going okay for you guys. And I really do hope we can get back into Europe next year and see people. It's been a long year.
It's been a long year looking at that face constantly. I need to see more people. Working from home 24/7 now, it's just the two of us and the dog, of course. Tim Gash, we'll see you when they're done.
Well, at least we've got people to eat.
Good, because I don't think I could eat 4 racks.
No.
Don't know what to say. Don't know what to do.
Wait and see what questions come up. Kind of expecting Charlie to come up and go, show us your tits.
Stop it. Right, for the oven. Okay, so the ribs, if you're cooking low and slow, hot or in the oven, will go on at 12 o'clock. So make sure your oven is hot and at temperature for 12 o'clock. If you're also cooking in the oven, you don't have to look at them or touch them at all. until 105. 105, we're going to be wrapping them, and then we'll stick them back in the oven. And then we'll check them about 210. So that's the oven timeline. Are we planning on doing any more barbecue courses next year? At the moment, next year, we don't even know what's going on worldwide. You know, are we going to be going back to work in the offices, or are we going to still be working at home? Are we allowed to travel off this little island, or are we not? So we don't know. We'll let you know if we do. If you don't hear anything, they're not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those, like the classes, we obviously ran those successfully for like 5 years, and it was okay when we were doing like 10, 15 contests a year. But, you know, by the time now that we're doing like 20, 25 contests, it's a lot to fill in, but partly because we just do so much during those courses. So, yeah, we will one day. Emma hates me for it, but it's just like, you know, we will do them again at one day, but it may just be a more on a one-off basis or once a year basis rather than like 3 classes in a year.
When you
type
work
thing.
full time and then do 25 competitions a year, just trying to get a weekend off to see family is really difficult. So
yeah, I mean, we haven't seen friends and family properly for years.
Yeah. Okie dokie. Timelines again. Okay. If you are cooking hot and fast, ribs go on at 12. We'll be back at 12:40 to do a flip of the ribs. Okay. Then at 105, we're going to wrap the ribs and stick them back on. And then at 210, we're going to check the ribs, make sure they're cooked, sauce them, and then tuck in. If you're cooking in the oven, exactly the same. The ribs go on at 12 o'clock. At 105, we're going to wrap the ribs. And then at 210, we're going to check them, sauce them, and hopefully tuck in. So that's the hot and fast and the oven timeline. If you're doing low and slow, again, ribs go on at 12. At 2:40, we're going to wrap the ribs. And then it's 4:40. Oh, we said 6:40. At 4:40, we're going to check them, we're going to sauce them, and then we're going to stick them back on.
So all of the timeline we have put onto the Facebook event. So there is a list on there of the times that we're going to be live. But also, I mean, that's why I've been telling people to, you know, make sure you subscribe and hit the notifications bell, just to make sure that you get reminders when we are going live again, so you can see, so you don't miss out on any of the steps we're doing. So we have set it up so we will be starting those steps like 5 or 10 minutes early, just to make sure that people have a chance to come online and see what we're doing, and then we get on and get it done. But that's the long and short of it.
Temperatures for the oven.
For the oven, 160 degrees Celsius.
For a gateway drum or a UDS, 300.
Anyone cooking hot and fast, 300 degrees Fahrenheit. And if you are cooking on a bullet smoker, if you're cooking low and slow, we're going to cook at 250 Fahrenheit.
Need some music.
YouTube don't like music.
Yeah, I know. Doesn't feel right doing barbecue without some drum and bass music on the side.
I know. Or Tony's Sunday sound.
Sunday music is always good fun.
So now we are coming up. So, I mean, we are 5 minutes away from when we're going to put the wood onto the smoker. So, in 5 minutes' time, we're going to put the wood in. The oven temperature is going to be 160 Celsius on a fan-assisted oven. To be fair, I didn't even think that non-fan-assisted ovens existed until we did a friend's wedding. And the only thing they had was this really old rubbish oven. And but no, 160 Celsius. So yeah, if you make sure you get your wood ready, so only need a couple of small bits if you're cooking in a drum. Anything else, a little bit more. What advice would be your best piece of advice for a newbie barbecue team? Get a timeline sorted. So we've done classes for a lot of people over the years, and teams that have competed. They've competed a reasonable amount as well, and one of the biggest game changers that they found was working towards a timeline because they just found it a lot more relaxing and were able to enjoy it a lot more. So they knew what they were supposed to be doing when. That is the I would say the most important thing. Have a timeline sorted out, stick to it. So you know when you're meant to be trimming your brisket. You know when you're meant to be trimming your pork butts, your chicken thighs and everything else. So,
And when you have your timeline, use your mobile phone, put alarms on, so that if you're halfway through drinking a beer or anything like that, your alarm goes off, you know exactly what you at that time.
Yeah, I have an Emma who shouts at me when I'm not there. So, I'll often be off chatting to somebody, and then I'll be like, oh shit, I've got to go back. I know Emma's going to be looking for me. So, can you grab me another beer, please?
Of course.
Thank you.
Not even 12 o'clock and beer number 3.
It's all right.
Then we move on to Vimto.
Oh. So. Okay, we have a couple of minutes. Yep, you will be squidging. Right. So, one of the things people will notice when I am cooking, I am very almost to the second on some things. It's a bit OCD, I know, but it is just the way that I am. So, we're coming up to 11:55, so 5 minutes before we're going to put our ribs on. So what I want to start doing is actually putting the smoking wood onto the fire. And with this, I will just place this straight on top of the fire. Want it to start smoking and basically give it a chance to start burning off, so it will. It's already smoking by the time I go to put the wood on, the meat on. So. Yeah, I'm just going to, on the WSN, I'm just going to open up the door and then just chuck that straight onto the fire. Just like that. Okay, so this will be the time to go and put your wood onto the fire. Yeah, so we get on the gateway. Yeah. And then, that will be ready for when we're going to put our ribs on in 5 minutes' time. Oh, it's not actually that cold in there today. I am very interested to see how these ribs are going to come out on the Weber Go Anywhere. I'm sure they'll come out good, but it's just I've been thinking about trying to cook them on disposable barbecue again.
Like you did your brisket?
Like I did that brisket. So, the idea is like one day turn up to a contest. Maybe like if grill stock ever happens again, I'm just going to turn up and just like all disposable barbecue it. It's don't bother with any of the fancy stuff, just disposables, and come last. So as I'm looking at the ribs, I can see they're starting to sweat nicely now. So the rub is kind of binded on now. So those are good to go too. I'm just making sure I say the right times later as well. Oh, just in time. It looks like my WSM is also now up to temperature. Sad times. Well, there is always.
Rewatch this.
Yeah, you can always rewatch it. It's and sit there and get hammered on rum.
Drinking and barbecue go together.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the other tips for a new barbecue team is make sure you do get some sleep in. Make sure you factor a time in for sleep. It will help you massively the next day. When we first started contests, it wasn't uncommon for me to stay up all night drinking. And then it was quite dangerous driving home afterwards the next day, after having spent, no sleep. I always remember we did that, we did the big Feastival. It was like a Jamie Oliver event, and they had a British Barbecue Society contest there. And one of our friends, John Hargate, he just got sponsored by Sailor Jerry's rum. And I drank a bottle of that as well as beers on top, and got about an hour's sleep, and then had a camera crew sort of putting their camera in my face, and then driving home afterwards, which was not great.
That's when Jamie Oliver got a bit upset with you, isn't it?
Well, he did ask a really stupid question. It's what would you go? If you were looking for a piece of brisket, what would you ask for at a butcher's? A brisket. I'm not a huge fan of Jamie Oliver.
That's it.
So you can see now, we're starting to get like little bits of smoke coming out of our drums, which is all good. Yeah, it's definitely, I say, a passion or an obsession. It's not like we, it definitely doesn't make money. It's very much a hobby, and the amount that we spend on contests alone is obscene. Whilst I look at it of we've probably won close to about £100,000 over the years. We've probably spent like 140.
I would say more 200.
Well, yeah. But it is a passion. It's just keeps us busy. Life would be boring. We get to travel the world. Don't get me wrong, off our own pocket. We pay the money to go there, but there's nothing better than when you go to a new country. Nobody there, but then all of a sudden you all know barbecue. And you then have like common interests, so it's it's really, really good. It helps you travel. Oh, I'm even being told by Will it's time. So, putting the ribs on the cooker. One of the things we're going to do. So we're going to put two slabs on each one, but basically we are going to. Yeah, if you put the hot and fast one, it's down there. Okay, rewind's down there. So as we're going to put them onto the rack, what we are going to do, as we put them on, we just lay them on like this, and then we're just going to put our hands on either side and just squidge it up. And that will then help it sort of retain shape and sort of stay a bit more compact, rather than leaving them spread out, where they could dry out. So that's all we're going to do there. We're going to do the same, putting these onto the WSM. So again, put it on, squidge it up. Put it on, squidge it up. That's it. So I can already smell the wood smoke going. So we're just going to put these straight over the fire, and that's it done. So does my wife make the sides? We both make the sides. So it really does depend, because we sometimes we used to do a lot more catering than we do now. And yeah, it's kind of like there's just so much work. So whether it be trimming the meats, rubbing them, you just kind of, whoever's feeling like it. But yeah, we've got the ribs on now, so it is 12 o'clock. Go get your ribs on, squidge them up, put them on, close the lid, and leave them alone. So I leave that there for now. So we are just going to wait now a couple of minutes, give you some time to get the ribs on and come back, and then we'll talk about what's going to happen next. Wait. So.
Let us know when you're back.
Yeah, let us know when you're back, when you've got your ribs on. So you can see there, nice smoke going. Gateway is now sitting perfectly at 300 degrees Fahrenheit. WSM is doing something, but it'll get back to 250 pretty quick. So, but you can see we've got the smoke coming in. So straight away, as we've got those ribs in, they're going on. Same on the drum. So, like I said, let us know when you are back from putting your ribs on, and then we will talk about what is going to happen next. So, I think people have got really big gardens by the looks of this.
Well, I'm without. They're looking on the phone while I'm trying to squeeze the ribs.
Okay, Will is back. See if there are any other people back. Yeah, I mean, we have definitely missed the competition side of it. Obviously, we've got really good friends from all over Europe, all over the world that we just haven't seen. So, we're really hoping that things are going to get back to some kind of normal. Okay, so, all right, it looks like people are starting to come back. What time is it? Give it another minute, so take it till 5 minutes past. So, yeah, we are nearly there. People obviously do have really big gardens. All their kitchens are really badly placed in where their garden is.
So if you've got an oven, put them on.
So yeah. Well, that's it. I hope people in the ovens have got them on easily. So, okay, we are going to go offline for a bit. So we are going to take a bit of a break because there's nothing to do. So from that side of it, if you are cooking low and slow, basically we will be going live for the low and slow rib cookers at 2:40. So at 2:40 in the afternoon, we will be going live for the low and slow cookers on when we are going to wrap the ribs. Barbecue Highlander, if you go to the Facebook event, we have put a timeline in there as well, but here you go. think the camera's actually taking it backwards.
I can't write backwards. Sorry.
Yeah, we have put timelines in there. No, we're not spritzing. We do not spritz. So no. No spritzing. Just leave them alone. So low and slow, guys, just leave them in there. 240, we're going to be back on line for you guys, and we're going to show you how we're going to wrap the ribs. For the hot and fast guys, you are going to need to be back online at 12:40. So basically 35 minutes until we're going to be back online. And then we're going to be talking about flipping, this whole turn and burn thing and how we're going to do that. So we'll be then. So hot and fast guys, be back at 12:40. If you're cooking in the oven, you don't need to be back at 12:40. You will need to be back at just gone 1 o'clock. Okay, for the oven guys. So hot and fast guys, 12:40. Oven guys, be back at 5 minutes past 1. And low and slow guys, be back at 40 minutes past 2. So 2:40. We have put the timeline on when we're going to be online on the Facebook event. So go and check that out if you have got any questions on the times. But it's that whole thing of that's why we're saying put your notifications on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe so you will get the alert when we are live. So you're not gonna miss something. So we're gonna take a little half hour break, and we will be back we'll be back soon with you hot and fast guys. If anyone else wants to come along and just see what the hell are all these hot and fast cookers doing, feel free. But we will see you all soon in about half an hour.
Are you sure?